Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
We all get called in the direction that's most important for us in understanding and living our divine intent. Some of us are called to making a difference by feeding the world. Some of us are called to supporting others in living their divine intent. Some are called to help people see themselves for who they are. Others are called to help people in the day-to-day experiences that we have in life, to understand the importance of being there for each other, taking care of our loved ones in time of need, being there to provide them the direction, the help, the understanding that's needed in their most difficult times. When we're called to help those people, or we're put in a situation to be the primary support for someone who's experiencing the degradation of getting older or the experience of Alzheimer's or dementia, we have to understand the importance of taking care of ourselves on that journey as we're being a caregiver, when we're sharing our love and our hope and our understanding for our loved ones who are experiencing these diseases or experiencing just the degradation of getting older. It's important to understand that we're all here to help each other on the journey. And it's important to understand that we're not alone in any of that experience. We're going to share today about how important it is to take care of yourself if you find yourself in the role of helping someone on their final journey, but how important it is to find others to help you along the way. I'm with Bill Cohen today. Bill is a certified senior advisor, CSA, and the owner of Cohen Caregiving Support Consultants. His loving and talented mother, Sheila, lost her home to Hurricane Katrina, then lost her health, ability to create beautiful art, and ultimately her life due to Alzheimer's. For almost 10 years, Bill was her primary caregiver and advocate, not just her elder son. Now Bill shares the story and journey with his mother, how he turned his personal loss into his passion, and provides advice on how to manage care and behaviors and how to practice self-care and prevention. Bill Cohen, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Absolutely, yes. I'm thrilled and honored to be here.
It's truly an honor for Mary and I also to have you on the podcast. We haven't had anyone really address the loss and the understanding of how important it is to care for your loved ones, but then also care for yourself along that journey also. So it's truly a pleasure to have you here, Bill. Could you share a little bit more about you and what you're doing?
So yes, I am a certified senior advisor. And as you alluded to, I turned my personal pain and loss into my passion. I love to use the term encore career. And if you had told me over 16, maybe close to 18 years ago, what was going to transpire and that I'd be sitting here talking to you today and doing what I do, I'd say, no way. It's just an unbelievable scenario. And I hope nobody else has to go through it, but that's what it's all about, is you don't have to go it alone. So I had a lot to learn back then and play it by ear and figure things out. but there are so many more resources today. So, and I'd like to be a part of that solution.
I'll share with you in imagination that it's so common to hear people say, if you would have told me I would be doing this 18 years ago, I would have said no way. But when we really open ourselves up to truly our purpose in this world, our divine intent, the reason that we're here, we don't necessarily see the direction we're going. And sometimes that's a good thing, because if we saw the direction we were going, we may choose, because we do have free will, not to go in that direction. But we develop so much along the way to get us to that place. And I'm going to touch on base with you on that, Bill, in a little bit. But could you share how the experience with your mom was a wake-up call, how it opened you up to understand that maybe I'm here for another reason?
Yeah, it's interesting that people say, "Oh, do you have a brother or any family? Do you have? How'd you come to this point? How did you decide to become the primary caregiver for your mom?" It's not a traditional role for men, although more and more men are moving into that role, especially for dementia. A lot of my clients and support group attendees are men, but it's primarily a women's issue. Most of the care recipients, the caregivers, and the providers are women. And so when I was seeing those first signs of concern, and the whole family too, we knew something was wrong. We didn't know what. I was the main person that started doing the cross-country travel and find out what's going on with my mom. And then, in this, of course, part of the story, she was showing signs of concern like paranoia, confusion, memory loss. She was in the caregiver role for my late stepfather. We didn't immediately jump to the conclusion it was Alzheimer's. We knew something was wrong. And we were thinking that my stepfather, who was on hospice, if he passed away or went into a care community, would she bounce back? And everything would be fine. Maybe she's just tired, she's stressed out, getting a little older. We never had that opportunity because what happened on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and New Orleans in August 2005, Hurricane Katrina. She had evacuated, but fully expected to come back to that house, which had survived so many previous storms. And the trauma of seeing it gone down to the slab, completely washed away. The trauma exacerbated and accelerated her condition. So it became obvious soon after that because she was so much more agitated and showing worse symptoms, we had a serious problem here. And going forward, I started attending a support group. I got involved doing volunteer work after she passed away, things like that. But I still had no idea that I was going to do something like this because I was working for the state of Oregon in a transportation related job, completely unrelated, right? But once I found this concept of caregiving support consultant, I said, I can do this. This may be my calling. This may be my purpose. And this whole story with my mom and how I helped her through her final years, like she helped me through my early years, became my why. It's my story.
I've got three directions I want to go here, and I'm going to try to hit all three of them, Bill. Sure. First of all, share with me why you feel that it was you that was drawn to be there for your mom initially. What was the trigger for you to be there?
That's a really good question. Again, usually it falls to a female member of the family. Whether that's right or wrong, we're not getting into it, but women tend to be in the nurturing, caring role. I'm the eldest son. I'm not going to belabor this subject, but it's good that my brother wasn't in that role for various reasons. I did have support of other family members, but because of, I think, my close relationship with my mom, my responsible nature. I handled finances and other things from previous careers, that it seemed like I was the right person. I didn't reject it. I didn't say, why me? I didn't say, no way, only if I have to. No, none of that. It was like, okay, it was tough to do because I was handling a full-time job cross country, but I stepped in and did what I had to do, increasingly, including moving around to Portland, Oregon, where I live. So there are different kinds of caregiving families, and many of them, yes, it sounds like I was solitary. I was the singular. Yes, I was the point person. I was the primary person handling the legal, the financial, et cetera. But my family did things sequentially. I took turns, lived with it. She was with one part of the family, then another, then I moved her out here. It was also collaborative in a lot of ways. So I was fortunate in that regard. Some families, it's butting heads. They're not on the same page. They have hidden agendas or other thoughts. This is the way we should do it. And fortunately, because I was I guess another part of it is that I was the conciliator, the mediator, the person who liked to find common ground in the family when other issues came up in the past, that maybe it was right for me to do that, because you need somebody who can pull everybody together. You may not agree in every little detail, but at least on the overall approach. And I help families reach that goal. I'm working with a couple of families exactly like that right now. So yeah, I think again, also, I'd like to talk about that. My mom and I had a very close relationship from early on. She was nurturing, loving, creative, intelligent. She was a great female role model. I like to say she was probably my first female friend, as well as a couple of young classmates going way back then. And so I think that brought out the nurturing side of me, that I stepped in that role naturally.
So as you share that, let me ask you, you keep shifting directions for me here. So I want to make sure that we deliver the most important or the best things for imagination here. Let's look at the first thing that you just shared, that because of your understanding of finances, because of things that you learned in the past, you were able to step into that role and really deliver in that role. What other so let me put it this way. At Imagine Miracles, we talk about we all have gifts and talents. And those gifts and talents have been developed over time. And as we develop our gifts and talents over time, we start to see and to realize how those gifts and talents can be used in our calling, as you said, or our divine intent. How did some of your past experiences in business, your past experience in your personal life, become the gifts and talents that you could use in first being there for your mom, but then also being a CSA?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because if you look at my other early careers, I started in the hospitality industry as a banquet manager. I was in financial services for a number of years, and then I'm working for the government in basically customer service. It doesn't sound related, but what's the common thread? Customer service and helping people, right? And I have 2 business degrees. And over the years, I did things like, my father was this way, by the way, organizing, leading like meetings and clubs and groups. And so I guess in a way, I was also organizing our family. How can we support my mother? So that became an obvious thing. I'm still doing those things to today. I tend to take a leadership role. When I'm going to do something, I go all in with a lot of enthusiasm and compassion, empathy, energy. And people say that to me, well, you don't seem like your age, or you're like retired. You're just go, 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 go. Which I take a lot of pride in. So yeah, things like that really came into play. Again, those aspects of, they didn't seem related, but they all helped me, was not only to take care of mom, but also helps me take care of families.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all those different experiences, education, background. And you brought up my credentials as a certified senior advisor. What's great about that is it just dovetails perfectly with my approach. I'm not helping with just one part of the journey, whether it's housing or law or what have you. We take a broader perspective. We take a holistic approach. I'm the coordinator, I'm the guide, I'm the quarterback, if you will, for the care of not only the loved one, but of the caregiver, because it's a two-edged sword. Both need to happen. So yeah, it was a perfect dovetail, but boy, it sure took an epiphany to figure that out.
And it does for us. I mean, we have these wake-up calls along the way to get us to understand, this is truly why we're here. This is what we're meant to do. And it's obvious that you are living purpose right now. You're living from an open heart, which is really truly about living purpose. It gives us an opportunity to open up our heart. And who would have thought that 2 business degrees was going to lead to you owning and running a consulting firm for caregiving?
Yeah, my wife likes to say you should have gotten a social work degree instead of an MBA.
But maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe.
But maybe not. So your mother truly gave you a great gift in allowing you to be part of that journey, to experience the Alzheimer's with her, to learn and grow from that. And I know it's tough for anyone to hear that there's a gift in that, but there definitely was, and there was a gift in the world that she gave by giving you that opportunity, because I know how important it is for people to understand. What other gifts came from that for you?
I think the big picture is that we think about what our parents did raising us, bringing into the world. And then I was given the gift of bringing her out of it, her end of life. And the main emphasis was to keep her as safe, as comfortable, and out of pain as possible. We know that, unfortunately, even though we're getting closer, that there is no cure or treatment for Alzheimer's and most other types of dementia, and there are many. So we had to do is whatever we could, nutrition-wise, and keeping her active and giving her activities so she isn't bored or feeling anxious. Things like that came in very helpful. Were very helpful to me to be able to take care of her. There were gifts that she gave in more tangible or factors, such as the legal and financial. She started, even before the loss of the home in the hurricane, started putting me on accounts, and then got me on power of attorney and the advance directive of her living will, the physician's order for life-sustaining treatment, the trust that we set up, all kinds of things. So if that was important, that she trusted me, we had a close relationship. Actually, I like to say my stepfather trusted me more than his own family. At one point, he made me the executor and the power of attorney, et cetera. That changed later. I'm not going to get into that. That was a gift, because if people don't have that legal access, that trust factor, having that conversation, that communication, and stating wishes, you're just shooting in the dark. And you don't have the tools, you don't have the authority, you don't know what they want. Have the conversation. We had that conversation. I'll tell you a quick story and make even sound a little familiar to you. Speaking of the advance directive, this was right after the hurricane. We're in North Carolina. We're doing the living will. And I'm going through the questions, things like about do not resuscitate and intubation and artificial nutrition, things like that. But I asked her one very important question. And I think you'll remember this case in Florida. I said, Mom, do you want to end up like Terry Schiavo, the woman who was on a vegetative state for for several years. The families were fighting over it. Even the politicians got involved. And she said very emphatically, absolutely not. I do not want to be like that. Because she was very clear about her wishes. That was in writing. The family knew what she had said, and that directed me to the end. And it was not only a gift about her wishes, but I didn't have to make any difficult decisions like that. Now, every family, every person has their own reasons, and it may be a little bit different, but at least she gave me that gift.
In that understanding and your experience there, what did you learn about the importance of the caregiver and their self-care and their journey?
Oh yeah, that was a big one. Personal experience is that besides the anguish of seeing what was happening to my mother, especially after the storm, and seeing how her health was going downhill, I started going to a support group, started getting counseling. I started talking to a care community in Southwest Portland. This is again all while I'm holding down a full-time job, cross country, et cetera, before I moved her out here. And I also had, while I'm dealing with all this and all these issues after the storm, financial, legal, real estate, the family stuff, et cetera, I had a micromanager boss from, pardon the expression, from hell. And so you can only imagine what my stress level, my blood pressure was up sky high. So I did, besides those other things, I'd go for a massage on a regular basis. I'd make sure I got away from my desk and took a walk as often as possible. I realized that a massage, for instance, and again, you could do whatever's best for you, meditation, yoga, whatever, that it wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. I needed that to reduce my stress. And the last part of that is, fortunately, after mom died, that boss retired themselves and my stress level came down to perfect. My last couple of years in that job, although unfulfilling, were a lot less stressful, but I keep getting a massage on a regular basis. I go for exercise. I like to say self-care is not selfish, it is vital. And there are many ways to do it, and there's many ways to find the time.
In your experience with your mom, and in your experience as a certified senior advisor, what other traps do caregivers get into?
Trying to do it alone, trying to do too much at once, not asking for help, not seeking support from various places. I could give some examples about that. Because if you don't seek that support and try to do it yourself, take it all on and do it all at once, there's a very good chance not only will you burn out, but you will get sick or worse. For over 70-year-old people or caregivers, 2/3 of those for dementia patients or sufferers predeceased a loved one they're caring for. That's a tragic figure. 2/3 for those over 70. Yeah. So that's why it's very, very important that you find that time. Now, I like to, after the storm, I always talk in terms of, I had so many different things to deal with while handling my job that I basically had to go into triage mode, like the battlefield or emergency department. I'm going to take care of this. That's most important. Then this is next. Everything else will have to wait. And so I tell caregivers, don't try to do it all by yourself, and seek out other family members, neighbors, friends, ex-coworkers. Maybe your church has some volunteers. Yes, it was very difficult during the pandemic. People were more isolated than ever. And fortunately, things have been opening up, so those resources are more available today. So sometimes it's a matter of just asking, because a lot of people would love to help, but they don't know how. They don't know what you need. Have a list of all those tasks and errands you have to do, and say, how can I help? Hey, can you go pick up the dry cleaning for me? Hey, I know you have a teenage son. Can he mow our lawn? They'll be probably thrilled to do it. And I love to tell the quick story. The last couple of weeks when mom was on hospice, Unfortunately, there was a norovirus quarantine. My aunt and I were the only ones besides the residents and the staff that were allowed in the building. And the care was wonderful at the facility. The coffee was horrible. And, here in the Northwest, we love our coffee, Seattle, Portland, etc. And I put out on Facebook, can somebody please bring me a mocha? 2 different friends showed up from 2 different coffee stands.
Awesome.
All he had to do was ask. And I know I remember even 9 years later, exactly who they were.
Let me ask you this, Bill. So as we talked about, 66% of the caregivers that are older than 70 are deceased before their loved one. What would you, that's our audience is younger than that, but what would you tell the children of these 70 plus year olds that are trying to, navigate these waters? What would you tell them about how to best help their loving caregiver?
Mm-hmm. You're bringing a good point. It's not just the care partners, the 70, 80-year-old spouses or siblings, but yeah, adult children. In fact, most of my people I work with are like 35 to 65 adult children. And I should point out that because you've probably heard of this, many people are getting it in earlier ages, are getting early onset dementia in their 50s and 60s, if not younger. So many younger people in their 20s and 30s, millennials, Gen Z, are actually stepping into that role. So the key is, again, not trying to do it yourself. Have the conversation with your family members as early as possible. They may say, we're fine, we're out, we're doing fine. We've always lived by ourselves. We don't want to be a burden. Oh, everything's planned. The key is to be persistent and ask those questions. Do you have life insurance? Do you have long-term care? Do you have a will? Do you have the advanced directives? Things like that. Say, how can I help you? Now, the worst thing you can do in that case is say, I'm taking over. I'm doing this, whether you like it or not. We know how well that's going to work. Think about people who have addictions or other issues, and you say, you need to do that. How are they going to react, verbally or otherwise? We know how that works. Not good. The key is to communicate, frame it, and be of help and support, and just start talking with your family members, and not just with the ones who you're concerned about, but other family members. We have an issue. We may need to get together and talk. I have dealt with several families recently where it's like 3, 4 siblings. We get on a Zoom call and I'll talk about the issue, and they don't have to agree on every little detail, but you want them all on the same page. No hidden agendas, in the best interest of the loved one that they're caring about. That's the most important things. Communication, and try to find a consensus, find common ground for the care of the person with dementia.
That's such a great share, and it's very interesting to me because I've seen it also that this sibling believes this sibling believes that. Yes, we've all agreed to support mom this way or dad this way, but now it's triggering things from my past, and now the siblings, start butting heads here and there. So it's so powerful that they've got somebody that they can sit down with, like you, and really talk it out and come to consensus in a way that supports everyone. And I think that's the big takeaway for me, that what we've shared today is it's really about supporting everyone in this process, not just the senior that's experiencing the dementia or the Alzheimer's or just deterioration as it happens to all of us. So I thank you so much for that share. Believe it or not, we're getting close to the end of our time. Is there anything that you want to make sure that everybody takes away from our time together?
Yes, I'll reiterate that you're not alone. Don't try to do it all by yourself. There is support available. There are resources available. When it comes to the Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, a good place to start is the Alzheimer's Association. Very easy at alz.org. Great education, support groups, and other resources there. But learn as much as you can. Seek support. Don't try to do it alone, whether it's me or somebody else with housing or elder law, etc. Again, don't try to do it yourself. Support is available. And in my case, I've been there. I understand. I can relate.
Thank you so much for that. How can people get in touch with you, Bill?
So the proverbial website, of course, my last name is spelled Cohen. So it's Cohen, caregiving support.com. And that's the best place to start. But I will mention, if you go on there, I have a Facebook community, which is devoted to dementia caregivers, and it's called Dementia Support Group for Caregivers with Bill Cohen.
Awesome. I'll make sure all that is available on Bill's show page. Just go to themiracleu.com, look for Bill Cohen's episode, and all that information will be available. You know, I want to share that what you gave us today about understanding the journey of the caregiver, the journey of the person who needs the care was so important. But I also want to share with you how important it was for you to give and be the example of understanding a calling, understanding the thing that you were truly meant to do in this world, the difference that you were meant to make before you leave it yourself. And I want to thank you for being that example, and thank you for sharing the understanding of all along the way you've been bringing these special gifts that you've developed and finding these talents that you've had to really help others on their journey. So I want to thank you for being that example, as well as all the amazing information that you shared with us about helping our seniors as they go through their last years and their last experiences.
One last point, because I know part of the thing that you talk about is imagination, and imagine if none of this had happened, or other aspects of that chain of events, and where would I be and where would caregivers be without me being able to serve them at this point? I hate to imagine what that would be like and what I'd be doing now instead.
So just imagine what it's like for them, because you're here. Such a gift. Thank you so much, Bill Cohen, for sharing your story, sharing your mom's story, and for the difference that you're making in the world.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here.
On behalf of my wife and business partner, Mary, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleu.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleu.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.